Hey, hey, how you doing? Hey, Crystal Mods. I'm giving it a little bit for some people to join. You know what? I'm changed my mind. I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is a refire of the live stream of candidate Vice President Kamala Harris in her speech in a national call to organize. It was quite a big event. She had Meg the Stallion perform at the beginning. I believe she was in Atlanta, as well as Quavos from the Migos. He came up and spoke a few words. So it's quite interesting. Let me $10 can help fund. Let me get this together. Okay. I'm gonna get started, guys. Good to be back in Georgia. Thank you, everyone. Can we please hear it for Tyler? I want to thank Tyler for that incredible introduction. I invited him and several other young entrepreneurs to come and visit with me at the White House. And we had a really very long and important conversation about the future of America. And Tyler, you represent the best of our future. Thank you for that. Hey, something fun. Thank you. And please give it up for Quavo and Megan. So it's so good to see everyone. And let me also thank our incredible members of Congress who are with us this evening. Senator John Ossoff, Senator Raphael Warnock, and Representative Nikema Williams, to Mayor Andre Dickens, thank you for welcoming me back to Atlanta. And thank you to the great Stacey Abrams for your extraordinary leadership. So, Georgia, it is so good to be back. And I am very clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And you all helped us win in 2020, and we're going to do it again in 2024. Yes, we will. So let's get right down. So I'm gonna get into some business now. Okay, I'm gonna get into some business now. All right. So Georgia, as many of you know, and have a seat if you have a chair. As many of you know, before I was elected vice president and before I was elected a United States senator, I was an elected attorney general and an elected district attorney. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. So in those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abuse women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters youths who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And I have been dealing with people like him my entire career. For example, as Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges that was scamming students. Well, Donald Trump ran a for-profit college that scammed students. As a prosecutor, I specialized in child sexual abuse cases and sexual abuse cases. Well, Trump was found liable for committing sexual abuse. And as an attorney general, I held the big Wall Street banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump, I'm guilty of fraud. 34 counts. So in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his any day of the week. Any day of the week. Including, for example, on the issue of immigration. So I was the Attorney General of a border state. In that job, I walked underground tunnels between the United States and Mexico on that border with law enforcement officers. I went after transnational gangs, drug cartels, and human traffickers that came into our country illegally. I prosecuted them in case after case, and I won. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it.
I think she's trying to appeal to a younger base with the Quavo and, you know, the Meg Thee Stallion.
Significant border security bill in decades.
A moment, guys.
Some of the most
Hold on.
in D.C. supported the bill. Even the Border Patrol endorsed it. It was all set to pass. But at the last minute, Trump directed his allies in the Senate to vote it down. Right? He tanked the bipartisan deal because he thought it would help him win an election. Which goes to show Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself. And when I am president, I will work to actually solve the problem. So here is my pledge to you. As president, I will bring back the border security bill that Donald Trump killed, and I will sign it into law and show Donald Trump what real leadership looks like. But make no mistake, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. Truly, this This campaign is about two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity to build a business, to own a home, to build intergenerational wealth, a future with affordable health care, affordable child care, paid leave. And all of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here all know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. And to keep our middle class strong, families need relief from the high cost of living so that they have a chance not just to get by, but to get ahead. And yes, it is true that by many indicators, our economy is the strongest in the world. But while inflation is down and wages are up, prices are still too high. You know it and I know it. And when we win this election, here's what we're going to do about it. On day one, I will take on price gouging and bring down costs. We will ban more of those hidden fees and surprise late charges that banks and other companies use to pad their profits. We will take on corporate landlords and cap unfair rent increases. And we will take on big pharma to cap prescription drug costs for all Americans. Our plan will lower costs and save many middle-class families thousands of dollars a year. But Donald Trump has a different plan in mind. One that would raise prices on middle-class families. Just look at his Project 2025 agenda. I take it you've seen it. Project 2025 is a plan to weaken the middle class. Be clear. And Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He intends to gut our investments in clean energy jobs. He intends to end the Affordable Care Act, to take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. You guys remember what that was? Children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. Georgia, America has tried these failed policies before, and we are not going back. We're not going back. That's right. And we are not going back because ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on assault on hard-fought, hard-won freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate, The freedom to love who you love openly and with pride. The freedom to learn and acknowledge our true and full history. And the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. Ours is a fight for the future and for freedom. And I don't have to tell folks in Atlanta that generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now the baton is in our hands. Each and every one of us. And we love our country. We love our country. And I believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country. And so, we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Amendment. We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into. So November 5th is in 98 days. In 98 days, and let's level set. Friends, let's level set. We have a fight in front of us. We have a fight in front of us, and we are the underdogs in this race. We are. But you see, this is a people-powered campaign. Ours is a people-powered campaign. In fact, after I announced my candidacy, we saw the best week of grassroots fundraising in presidential campaign history. And if you go to KamalaHarris.com, you can help us build on that success. So the momentum in this race is shifting. And there are signs that Donald Trump is feeling it. You may have noticed. So last week, you may have seen, he pulled out of the debate in September he had previously agreed to. So here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about that. So he won't debate, but he and his running mate sure seem to have a lot to say about me. And by the way, don't you find some of their stuff to just be plain weird? Well, Donald, I do hope you'll reconsider to meet me on the debate stage. Because as the saying goes, if you got something to say, say it to my face. So, Georgia, in the next 98 days, we have our work cut out for us. And this is not going to be easy. This is hard work, but we like hard work. Hard work is good work. So, Georgia, today I ask you, are you ready to get to work? Do we believe in freedom? Do we believe in opportunity? Do we believe in the promise of America? And are we ready to fight for it? And when we fight, we win. God bless you. God bless the United States. I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house.
Okay, guys. That was actually, hold on a second. I'm trying to close this window. Okay, guys. All right, I was just closing out that window. It was quite a speech. She's definitely pivoted. She is definitely getting her jabs in. I like that if you have something to say it to my face. I like that. Oh, the sound was distorted, Crystal? Oh, no. Okay, it's back. There was a little bit of a rough patch in that video. I wanted to also... I wanted to also present another video to you guys of Donald Trump. Donald Trump speaks at country's largest annual gathering of Black journalists, an effort to bolster the Republican president's candidates' standing that has divided the groups. Hold on a second. The group's members. Okay. Well, why is this thing acting crazy? Okay, I wanna. Okay. I'm over here hitting the wrong buttons, y'all. My apologies. But I thought this was interesting as well. And want to definitely share it. There's a commercial. Now I'm waiting for this to start before I turn the audio on. So just bear with me. I'm not going to fast forward, because if I fast forward, I will probably ruin the whole thing. Let me just turn the volume up.
Singapore political reporter Kadia Goba. And anchor and co-host of Out News, Harris Faulkner.
Hold on a second. Oh, this went all the way back to the beginning. This went back all the way to the beginning now, y'all. It wasn't to the stage. I can't start the video there. And I want to play the video as well as the audio. For those of you who are new here, I play the video on lean and I'm lining up with my audio from my phone because otherwise audio will not work. I'm a little bit on the struggle bus, guys, with my computer, but it's okay. In due time, things shall improve. So I am not in the least bit upset. Let's see. Let me check with y'all and see how you guys are doing while this catches up to the audio. Hey, Lisa says what? Guys, you're going to have a treat. Lisa says what and I are going to give our honest opinion and comments about Kamala's performance, as well as we're definitely going to talk about Donald Trump's time here with these Black journalists. Come on now, you have to be fair. We have to be fair because a lot of the talking points that Kamala had, I've heard her say them before. And I mean, I understand it's a campaign for a reason, right? But, she has developed, I will say she has developed. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing this.
NABJ. Mic's on? Hear me? Here we go. Test, test, test. Good afternoon, NABJ, and welcome to a conversation with former President Donald Trump.
Okay, hold on. They get seated. Welcome for President Donald Trump.
This discussion continues a decades-long tradition.
Here we go.
During election years of inviting journalists to discuss the policies and their impact with the candidates who are running for president and the impact of those policies, especially in Black communities. Former Presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton have attended the NABJ conventions either as presidents or as presidential candidates in past years. NABJ is currently in conversation with Vice President Kamala Harris's team to schedule a Q&A either in person or virtually in September. As journalists, we use opportunities like these both to inform our reporting, but also to help voters understand the choices that they face in a consequential and historic election year. NABJ has partnered with PolitiFact to fact check this conversation in real time. You can access that feed on social media using the hashtag NABJFactCheck. Again, the hashtag is NABJFactCheck. We have a lot to get to, and we do not want to waste any time. So let's bring out the former president of the United States, the Republican nominee for president, former President Donald Trump. Thank you. How are you? Mr. President, we so appreciate you giving us an hour of your time. I want to start by addressing the elephant in the room, sir. A lot of people did not think it was appropriate for you to be here today. You have pushed false claims about some of your rivals, from Nikki Haley to former President Barack Obama, saying that they were not born in the United States, which is not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe Black district attorneys. You've attacked Black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking Black supporters to vote for you, why should Black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question so in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you? Are you with ABC? Because I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the Black pop so much for the Black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for Black workers and Black entrepreneurs. I've done so much. And, you know, and I say this, historically Black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke. And I saved them and I gave them long-term financing and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said, you can't do it with Zoom. Well, you know, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late, just so we understand. I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was
Mr. President,
wrong.
I would love
I think
you
it's
can
a
answer the
very
question on
nasty
your rhetoric
question.
and why you
I have
believe that
answered the
Black voters
question.
should trust you with another
I
4
have
years.
been the best president for the Black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act.
For you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
Let me just ask a follow-up, sir, and then we'll move on to other questions here. Some of your own supporters, including Republicans on Capitol Hill, have labeled Vice President Kamala Harris, who is the first Black and Asian American woman to serve as vice president and be on a major party ticket, as a DEI hire. Is that acceptable language to you? And will you tell those Republicans and those supporters to stop it?
How do you define DEI? Go ahead. How do you define
diversity, equity, and inclusion?
What your definition?
That is.
Give me a definition. Would you give me a definition?
Yeah.
Give me a definition.
Sir, I'm asking you a question,
you
very
have to
direct
define
question.
it. Define it for me, if you
I
would.
just defined it, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is only on the ticket because she is a Black woman?
Well, I can say no. I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was Black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn Black, and now she wants to be known as Black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she Black?
She has always
But you know
identified
what?
as a Black woman.
I respect
She went to a historically
either
Black
one.
college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a Black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do
And
you
I
believe that
think
she is
somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
It's a direct question, sir. Do you believe that Vice President Kamala Harris is a DEI hire, as some
I
Republicans
really
have
don't
said?
know. I mean, I really don't know. Could be. There are some, and there are plenty. I know this lady right over there, Harris, is a fantastic person who just interviewed me at length. And we had a great interview, I think, and I heard you got very good ratings on that.
When you told me it was the longest one of your life, so we had a good discussion. Look, I want to talk about why you're here today. I mean, it is not lost on us how divided we are as a country. And as you were coming today, we really got to see that we are divided along the lines of race, along the lines of gender. And there is this question of, in this moment where we are, why come here? What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And
Mr. President,
they're coming in, they're invading. It's an invasion of millions of people, probably 15, 16, 17 million people. I have a feeling it's much more than that. And everybody's been seeing what's happened. The first group of people, the black population, is affected most by that. And Kamala is allowing it to happen. She's the border czar. She's the worst border czar in the history of the world. There's never been a border czar like this. She's never even essentially been. She said she was there once, but not the right part of the border. So she was a border czar. She's done a horrible job. These people are coming into our country, and they're taking black jobs and Hispanic jobs. And frankly, they're taking union jobs. Unions are being very badly affected by all of the millions of people that are pouring into our country. And one thing, as we discussed, many of these people are coming in from mental institutions, from prisons, from jails. They're gang members in other countries. Other countries are setting loose their prisoners. They're opening up their prisons and their mental institutions, and they're taking their bad people, drug dealers, gang members, and they're bringing them into the United States. And by the way, their crime rate is going down, and our crime rate is going to be a disaster.
Mr. President, I want to get into how you address some of the issues with black communities. And I say that plural because we live in communities of color that are different. We're not all the same. We don't vote the same. We don't think the same.
Sure.
It's not monolithic. So as you come here today, I want to talk about something that bursts. And this is the weight of the inflation on this country right now. The nonprofit Money Management International recently released data from its mid-year analysis that we have found a 50% rise in people who are seeking counseling for being in credit debt. They're paying for food that is sky high on their credit cards, and now they can't pay that off. The credit counseling nonprofit MMI, as I said, is saying now that they've seen surges that they haven't seen since we were in a pandemic of people in financial trouble. Much of that falls on the shoulders of single moms, single black moms. When you look statistically, how do you turn it around? What's your plan for the black community when it comes to money?
So, first of all, it's very hard to hear you for whatever reason because of the fact that they have bad equipment. Because I guess, this woman was unable to get the right equipment. But it's very hard for me to hear you, but I can hear every other word. It's very difficult, actually. But so I don't know if they can fix it or do something with it, but I'll do the best I can with it. The inflation is absolutely destroying our middle class, our working class, virtually every class. Inflation is a disaster in our country. Inflation is a country buster. It breaks every country. And we had, in my opinion, the worst inflation we've had. They say it's 58 years, but I think it's much more than that. It's been devastating. And if you just take a look at a lot of things they don't include, like interest rates. Interest rates went from 2.4% to 10%, and you can't get the money. People can't buy houses. They no longer have the American dream. Young people, young black people, they don't have the American dream anymore. They can't buy a house. They can't borrow the money because of the cost of the money. They can't buy it because of the cost of housing, because of the cost to build it, because of inflation. Inflation is a disaster, and it's destroying our country, and it's destroying the black community probably as much.
So what do you do?
Than any.
What's your plan?
You know what we have to do? We have to bring down the cost of energy, and that's going to bring down the cost of inflation. This was all started with a bad energy policy by Joe Biden. By the way, just if I might, I was running against a man named Biden. You probably saw that. And he was losing very badly in the polls. And then he had a rather bad debate. I would say it was a bad debate. I would say it was one of the worst debates in history. And his poll numbers crashed. And instead of saying, let's keep going and maybe something happens the other way, they said, oh, we're going to replace him. Let's just replace him. That's like you're in a fight, a prize fighter's in a fight. He's not doing what you. So our campaign was geared toward him. and now we have to steer it to it. But ultimately, it's the same because they have bad policy. They have policies of open borders, unbelievable open borders, horrible energy policies. They want to get rid of, as you say, gasoline in cars. They want to get rid of oil. They want to get rid of efficient heating.
Mr. President.
Environmentally, what they're doing is killing our country. They're absolutely destroying our country. But the inflation is the thing that's hurting the black worker, the black population, and every other population within our country. Inflation is the worst it's been, I think, in over 100 years. And they'll fact check it. They'll say it's only 58. Whatever it may be, they don't add all the numbers. They don't add the really bad numbers, and you can check that too. But inflation, Harris, is absolutely destroying this country and the people in our country. Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
President, can I ask you another question?
Yes,
And it's also impacting Black
And that's very clear now.
I'm sorry?
It's very clear. I hear you.
Okay. So Sonia Massey, someone from Illinois, an unarmed Black woman, was shot the other day in her home by a deputy sheriff. The deputy has since been charged with murder. You've said police would get immunity for prosecution if you win. Why should someone like that officer have immunity, in your opinion?
Immunity?
Immunity.
I don't know the exact case, but I saw something, and it didn't look good to me. It didn't look good to me. Are you talking with the water, right?
Yeah, well, police unions are not backing this person either.
Okay.
But again,
they're going to be charging the officer. I guess they're charging the officer.
So why should he receive immunity?
Well, he might not. I mean, it depends. It depends on what happens. I'm talking about people that are much different cases than that. We need people to protect ourselves. And by the way, in Chicago, as an example, a few weeks ago, July 4th weekend, 117 shootings and 17 deaths. Nobody wants that. We need to have our police officers have the respect and dignity back. In this particular case, I saw something that didn't look good to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
So can you get a little more specific back to the immunity question? Who would make those
Well, right now,
distinctions?
for the most part, people are protected by their unions, by their police unions, or by their police departments. But I'm saying if I felt, or if a group of people would feel that somebody was being unfairly prosecuted because the person did a good job maybe with crime or made a mistake, an innocent mistake, there's a big difference between being a bad person, making an innocent, but if somebody made an innocent
Speed. What would determine
you go after somebody and it's a very close call and it's very dangerous, and they have the policeman's life and woman is a very difficult thing because sometimes you have less than a second to make a life and death decision, and sometimes very bad decisions are made. They're not made from an evil standpoint, but they're made from the standpoint of they made a mistake.
So I want to follow up really quickly. I find it interesting because you do talk about reining in prosecutors, especially when it comes to prosecutors that are prosecuting you. Why doesn't that skepticism apply to law enforcement?
Well, I've been prosecuted because I'm a political opponent of two people that have weaponized our justice system. I've been prosecuted. I just won the big case in Florida. Everyone said that was the biggest case. That was the most difficult case. And I just won it. Now, Biden has a similar case, except I was protected under the Presidential Records Act. Biden wasn't, because he wasn't president at the time. And he had 50 years worth of documents. And they ruled that he was incompetent, and therefore he shouldn't stand trial. And I said, isn't that something? He's incompetent and he can't stand trial, and yet he can be president. Isn't that nice?
Mr. President,
but they released him on the basis that he was incompetent. They said he had no memory, and he was a nice old guy, but he had no memory, and so, therefore we're not going to prosecute him. I won the case, and it got very little publicity. I didn't notice ABC doing any publicity on it.
We covered you extensively, sir. I'd love to move over on to
I
different
didn't notice
topics.
you do any publicity on it at all. I won the case, the biggest case. This is an attack on a political opponent. I have another one where
Sir,
I have
if you
a
don't mind,
hostile judge.
we have you for a limited time, sir. I'd love to move on to different
No,
topics.
excuse
if
you,
we
you're
can.
the one that held me up 45 minutes, just so you understand.
If we can move on now to the state of the race, sir, I want to get back to the campaign. Senator J.D. Vance is your running mate. He's had a lot of controversy lately, and I want to read you a few things that he has said in the past. He said the Democrats running the country are a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. He's not talking here about how great it is to be a parent. He's attacking what he says are the choices people are making to not have children. Did you know that he had these views about people who do not have children before you picked him to be your running mate? And do you agree with him?
No, I know this. He is very family oriented, and he thinks family is a great thing. That doesn't mean he thinks that if you don't have a family, it's not. I know people with families. I know people with great families. I know people with very troubled families. And I also know people with no families. They didn't meet the right person. Things happen. You go through life, you don't meet the right person.
But he's not just talking about families here.
And
He also
some of
says that
those
people that
people-
don't have children should get less votes than
That's
those
all
that
right.
do.
I'm just speaking for myself.
that your
and I
campaign
think I'm
position?
speaking for him too. He strongly believes in family, but I know people with great families. I know people with not great families that don't have a family. And the people without the family are far better. They're superior in many cases, okay? He's not saying they're not. What he's saying is that he thinks the family experience is a very important thing. It's a very good thing. But that doesn't mean that if you grow up and you grow older and you don't meet somebody that would be wonderful to meet and would have been good, that that's a bad thing. He's not saying that. My interpretation, you'll have to ask him actually, but my interpretation is he's strongly family oriented, but that doesn't mean if you don't have a family, there's something wrong with it.
Just
Mr.
one last
President?
point, and then we'll move on. Just one of the bedrock principles of American life is one person, one vote. Senator J.D. Vance has suggested that someone who has children should have more votes than a person who does not have children. I just want to be clear here. Is that the position of your campaign?
Well, no, but it's not something I have ever heard before. I can tell you this. Right now, you have illegal aliens coming into our country, many from prisons and many from mental institutions, and they want to give them votes. I don't think they should have votes. They came into our country illegally,
People
and
who
they're
are only
taking the
American
vote away
citizens
from
are
all
allowed
of the
to vote,
people
sir.
in this room that have been here a long time, that have worked hard, that in many cases, and you'll see this happening, if I'm not elected, you're going to see it
So-
happen. If I am, you're not going to have any problem. But you're going to see it happening a long time. You're going to see the people in this room and people outside of this room are going to be losing their jobs to people that have come into this country illegally.
Mr. President, can we stay with just kind of the state of the race right now? Because I felt like that vice president question, candidate question was right in there with that. So let's talk about J.D. Vance for a little bit. He's had some stumbles out of the gate. I don't know if you're hearing what we hear as reporters, but it's been a tough couple of weeks for him. Why did you choose J.D. Vance?
Why not?
Why did you choose him? And I'm having a hard time hearing too.
I chose
know
him
everybody out
because-
there can, but it's
I'll
hard
tell
to
you
hear.
why. I chose him because he's a very strong believer in work and the working man and woman, and especially the working man and woman who have been treated very unfairly, because you have many of them in this room. But you have many of those people that were treated very unfairly. They worked very hard and they were treated unfairly. He wrote the book that became a bestseller. The movie became a smash hit. He's a very smart guy without the benefit of having a family that has contacts, like a father that was well connected. He got into Yale Law School. He graduated in 2 years from Ohio State, summa cum laude. I mean, you take a look at, his career has been an amazing career. He started off at a level with a difficult family situation, very difficult with the mother and the father and everything else. He ends up going to Yale Law School, was one of the top students, became the head of the law journal. I mean, that's an amazing thing. He's a 4-year, he was in the military with great distinction for 4 years, got out, went into business, became successful in business, very successful in business, actually. Did public offerings and other things. And I have to believe in that. I mean, he's somebody that was born in a rough situation. Most of the people know that situation because it was very well documented in his book. And I have a lot of respect for somebody that can get into Yale and become one of the best students in Yale, that meets a young woman at Yale who was also outstanding, and they get married, they have a beautiful family, but he had he's made himself an amazing life. He then goes to Ohio, lives in Ohio, and he had my endorsement. That helped. But he wins the Senate. He becomes a United States Senator. So he's a United States Senator. And so, Harris, like I respect you for your success, I respect people for their success.
The reason I asked the question is because the last time you and I sat and talked was the day that you were shot. We'd been together for much of that day. You left to go to Butler, Pennsylvania, and we didn't know what was next.
Yeah.
And 2 days after that,
I cannot understand your microphone.
I know it is really hard for me to understand.
It's just, I can understand you perfectly.
Because she's closer.
I can understand you.
Happy to hear that, sir.
But I can't
Really happy to hear
understand,
that.
Harris,
I have a few more questions.
because of the distance, and the mics are really in lousy shape, but I cannot understand
Are you asking a question?
what you're saying.
So what I wanted to say was the last time we spoke, you said some words that were prophetic because I asked you who you wanted to choose for vice president.
Yeah.
And you said normally it really wouldn't matter what they would bring. You know, you choose somebody that you think has a future, that sort of thing. But you said these words 3.5 hours before an attempted assassination on your life. You told me that bad things happen, Harris. And that's why this decision is important this time. Bad things happen. You said it twice. When you look at J.D. Vance, is he ready on day one?
Does he what?
Ready on day one, if he has to be.
I've always had great respect for him, and for the other candidates too. But I will say this, and I think this is well documented. Historically, the vice president, in terms of the election, does not have any impact. I mean, virtually no impact. You have 2 or 3 days where there's a lot of commotion as to who, like you're having it on the Democrat side, who it's going to be. And then that dies down, and it's all about the presidential pick. Virtually never has it mattered. Maybe Lyndon Johnson mattered for different reasons of what we're talking about, not for vote reasons, but for political reasons, other political reasons. But historically, the choice of a vice president makes no difference. You're voting for the president, and you can have a vice president who's outstanding in every way, and I think JD is. I think that all of them would have been, but you're not voting that way. You're voting for the president. You're voting for me. If you like me, I'm going to win. If you don't like me, I'm not going to win.
I'm going to get my JD Vance question in.
JD Vance?
I'm going to get my JD Vance question in. To your point and to Rachel's point, he, has a lot of opinions about childless women like myself or divorced people like yourself. Do you think, well, I mean, my point
at
is
least
here.
it was said in a friendly manner.
My point is, do you think the Republican Party is getting a little bit too judgy about people's lives when you think about abortion or when you think about what J.D. Vance is saying?
I don't think, look, I think that the Democrat Party is really the one that has the problem. I think they're radical on abortion because they're allowing abortion in the 9th month. They're allowing the death. They're allowing the death of a baby after the baby is born, based on
Sir, that's
governor of
illegal in
Virginia.
every state in the country.
Based on the governor of Virginia, they're allowing the death of the baby after it's born. They're allowing abortions in the 8th and 9th month.
Well, Democrats have
I
denied.
think they're right. And I think the Republican Party is actually much less. I think I've made them much less radical, perhaps. But the Republican Party, what we're doing is bringing it back to the states where everybody wanted it. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservative, everybody wanted abortion brought back. They didn't want Roe v. Wade in the federal government. They wanted it. Everybody
But the
wanted
majority
it
of
back.
Americans oppose Roe v. Wade being overturned.
They
Multiple
don't know
polls have
about
showed that,
this.
sir.
Right now, they're voting. It brought it back to the states. Now, I happen to believe in the 3 exceptions. Ronald Reagan believed with rape, incest, life of the mother. I do. I think most people do. I think most Republicans do also. But if you take a look, right now they're doing, it's an amazing thing. Out of the federal government, it's in states, and people are voting. And I will say, Ohio is, let's call it a more liberal version, has been approved. Kansas, the same thing, a little bit surprising to a lot of people. But the people are now voting, and it's taking this issue that's been going on for 52 years and has torn our country apart, and it's giving it to the people to vote on. And they're voting. And Many states have already voted. Others are in the process of voting. And it's bringing it back to the people and a vote of the people. And it's not at all radical. And again, you have to follow your heart. I happen to believe in the three exceptions. Most people believe in the three exceptions. Most Republicans believe in the exceptions. But they don't want to see an abortion in the 9th month or the 8th month. Almost everybody agrees to that. And they certainly don't want to see, in the case of the governor of Virginia, the former governor, I might add, who said, we set the baby aside and then we decide what to do. Meaning, what do? We execute the baby. That's a radical, horrible position. And some people want that. I don't want it. Most people don't.
Thank you. Can I just pivot really quickly to another question about, you brought up health, Harris. You're an active man. We see you golfing all the time. But if you win, you'll still be president at 82, which is older than Biden is right now.
But not mentally. Look, mentally.
Here's the question.
He's shot. But most people.
Would you consider?
Most people. I know many people in their 80s and their 90s that are in great shape. Some of our greatest leaders. You look at throughout the world history, the greatest leaders, some of the greatest leaders in the world were in their 80s.
But here's the question. Would you consider stepping down if you felt that your health was declining? Or would you?
Oh, absolutely.
And who would
I think I'd know.
How would you make that decision?
I think I'd know. Look, if I came onto a stage like this and I got treated so rudely as this woman treated
Oh my goodness.
me, and I'm fine with it because she was very rude, sir. Very rude. That wasn't a question. She didn't ask me a question. She gave a statement. That wasn't a question.
I repeated your statement, sir, actually.
You said you would. You would.
Oh,
make that
absolutely.
decision
If I
to step
thought
down.
that I was failing in some way, I want people to be sharp. I'll go a step further. I want anybody running for president to take an aptitude test, to take a cognitive test. I think it's a great idea. And I took 2 of them and I aced them.
Well,
I took 2 of them. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
I would like to have people running for president, and I don't mean because they're 75 or 85. I think anybody running, I'd like to do it. People say it's not constitutional. I would like to have something passed where you can do it. I think we should know. I mean, I've watched what's happened in the last couple of years under this gentleman, and our country is a mess. We have inflation. We have the millions of people falling in. We have Afghanistan, which was the worst, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. What he has done to our country, and her too, what they've done to our country, she has been a horrible vice president. She's considered the worst vice president in the history of our country.
Don't mean to interrupt you, but would you consider taking the cognitive test?
Mr. President.
I would love to
And
do
make
it.
it public?
Well, I've already taken 2 of them, but I'll do it again.
Mr. President, how do you intend to?
I suggested, Harris, that let's take one. I said, Joe and I will go and take a cognitive test. Now, I'd do it with her too. I would do it with her also. You know what? She failed her law exam. She didn't pass her law exam, so maybe she wouldn't pass the cognitive test.
Mr. President.
Are you saying she wouldn't pass? Just to be clear,
I'm just giving you the facts.
to be clear, you don't think
I'm
Harris
just
How do you intend
She
and
didn't
look,
pass her bar exam, and she didn't think she would pass it, and she didn't think she was going to ever pass it. And I don't know what happened. Maybe she passed it.
She did pass it.
There's a
She
man
did-
over
she
here. I
did, in
think
fact, pass
he must work.
Mr. President, I would love to ask you about January 6th. You called yourself the candidate of law and order. When Time Magazine asked you if you would consider pardoning all the rioters, you said, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
You called them patriots. 140 police officers were assaulted that day. Their injuries included broken bones. At least one officer lost an eye. One had 2 cracked ribs, 2 smashed spinal discs. Another had a stroke. Were the people who assaulted those 140 officers, including those I just mentioned, patriots who deserve pardons?
Well, let me bring it back to modern day. Like about 5 days ago, we had an attack on the Capitol, a horrible attack on the Capitol. You saw the people that were protesting and spraying these incredible monuments, bells, lions, all these magnificent limestone and granite with red paint, red spray paint that will never actually come off, especially on the limestone. It will never, I'm a builder, I know about this stuff. It'll never, you'll see it in 100 years from now. They viciously attacked our government. They fought with police. They fought with them much more openly than I saw on January 6th. What's going to happen to those people? What's going to happen to the people in Portland that destroyed
sir, my
that
question
city?
is on those-
What's going to happen to
My
the
question
people
is
that
on
tried
those
to burn
rioters
it?
who assaulted
Excuse me.
officers.
You have to
Would
ask,
you pardon
what's
those
going to
people?
happen? Oh, absolutely, I would.
You
If
would
they're
pardon
innocent,
those-
if they're innocent, I would pardon them.
They've been
And
convicted.
by the way, the Supreme Court just well, they were convicted by a very tough system. How come the people that tried to burn down Minneapolis, how come the people that took over a large percentage of Seattle, how come nothing happened to them? How come the
But
people
sir, we're
that,
talking about
how
people
come
that
the
were
people-
seen beating
We're
officers
talking
with
about
flag
federal
poles,
buildings.
dragging them down the stairs. They're on
They-
video. Have you seen that
Really?
video,
Oh,
sir?
really? Well, they
You would
shot.
pardon those? You would pardon those rioters?
They shot a young lady in the face who was protesting. They shot her in the face. You know, nobody died that day. You do know that. But people died in Seattle. Nobody died, but people died in
140
Minneapolis.
officers
You know,
were
people died in
assaulted that
Minneapolis.
day.
And nothing happens, and nobody ever talks, and nothing happens to those people. But you went after the J6 people with a vengeance. And I'll tell you what about the cop, the police, as you know, but what about the police that are ushering everybody into the Capitol? Go in, go in, go in. What about that? Look, nothing is perfect in life, but you have people from Minneapolis, you have people just from 5 days ago in Washington, D.C., they were having fist fights and fighting with the police. They were spraying and destroying. They were desecrating our monuments in Washington, D.C. 5 days ago, and nothing happened to them. And you can't have two systems of justice. That's why they went after me as a political opponent, because they felt they couldn't win without doing that. And we're going to win our cases, and we're going to be vindicated. But I have to spend a lot of time on that and money. That's what they want. After the election, they won't care. Although in my case, I think they probably will, because the hatred is pretty deep. But I'll tell you, they went after me as a political opponent. That's never happened in our country before. And it sets a terrible, terrible precedent.
What do you do on day one if you win? What's your first thing?
What do? I close the border. And I do two things, because I can do a lot of things simultaneously. I close the border. We don't want people coming in. We want people to come in, Harris, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. They have to come in legally. I want people to come into our country, but they have to be vetted. They have to be checked. So when you say, what do I do? That, and I drill, baby, drill. I bring energy way down. I bring interest rates down. I bring inflation way down, so people can buy bacon again, so people can buy a ham sandwich again, so that people can go to a restaurant and afford it. Because right now, people can't buy food. Your grocery bills are up 40, 50, 60%, right? She's agreeing to me. Oh, she's agreeing. Thank you. I like you very much.
Mr. President, I think we are.
But it's true. Your grocery bills are up. And then they're mandating that you buy an all-electric car. You know, Elon Musk endorsed me, and he's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. But I'm against everybody having an electric car, okay? I'm very much against that. You have to be able to, if you want a hybrid or if you want a gasoline-propelled car. But, you know, we have more liquid gold, gasoline, oil, under our feet than any other country, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia, more than any other country. I want to use it. I want to use what we have. I want to bring down prices, bring down costs, and I also have to stop the invasion. And remember, they're taking your jobs. These people coming in are taking your jobs.
Project 2025.
I think we have to leave it there by the Trump team.
All right.
So leave it. That is the last word. Thank you so much, Mr. Trump, for coming today and joining us.
Well, thank you very much.
They've been telling us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, very much. Great
Thank
honor.
you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Any BJ will email about details regarding the conversation with Vice President KamalaHarris in September. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was a lot. That was definitely a lot. Okay. So that was a lot. I've dropped a link for anybody who wants to come up, but truly it's for Lisa Says What. She's going to be joining me to have a discussion. Oh man. I need like a moment. I'm serious. I need a moment. Is this Lisa? Let me plug out my mic. I cannot hear you. I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Lisa? I can't hear you. Let me hear me. Yeah, you guys can hear me. Let's see here. There we go. I still cannot hear you, ma'am. Testing, testing. Oh, she dropped. She'll be back. That was that was a lot. Okay, here we go. Whew, that was a whole lot.
Can you hear
Hey,
me?
hey.
Hey,
Yes. Hey.
that was a dumpster fire.
That
I've
was a
watched
lot.
I watched it twice. It gets worse every time. He lied like a rug. He maligned Camilla Harris. I thought he was gonna get up there and really uh vie for the black vote. But instead he got his feelings hurt early on because she wasn't deferential enough to him and asked him hard questions. Shout out to Rachel.
That was pretty heavy hitting. Did you get my email?
No, I didn't. Where you sent it
I
to?
sent you an email because they also, during their live show, you saw when she started, she said they're doing a live fact checker of Donald Trump's responses. Did you see it?
Wait a minute, hold on.
Well,
Okay,
guys, I'll start off. Claims about Harris. Trump. Kamala Harris was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she went and she became a black person. The fact
that's
checker
probably
says pants
the
on fire.
dumbest lie. Yes,
It says
pants on
Harris
fire.
has long identified as a black woman who grew up in a cultural household. Her father, Donald Harris, immigrated to the U.S. from Jamaica after he got into the University of California, Berkeley. Kamala Harris wrote in her 2019 autobiography, her mother, I don't want to mispronounce her mother's name, but I think it's Mia Harris, was born in Sinana, India, and moved to California after graduating from the University of Delhi to pursue a doctorate in nutrition and energy. Harris attended at Howard University, an historically black university in Washington, D.C., and she earned her law degree at the University of California, Hastings in 1989. Harris pledged Alpha Kappa Alpha, a historically black sorority. As a U.S. Senator from California, Harris was a member of the Congressional Black caucus in 2010 when Harris was months as California's Attorney General. One story described her as being in a black neighborhood where she attended black churches and also worshiped in her mother's Hindu temple and had visited her family in India. Running for office, you have to simply you have to simplify or condense or put into pre-existing boxes who you are. So people will have a sense of you based on what they easily and quickly identify, Harris said. I grew up in a family where I had a strong sense of culture, of my culture and who I am. And I never felt insecure about that at all. So, slowly, perhaps with each of us taking on more prominent positions, people will start to understand the diversity of the people. Trump, upon being asked whether he would take a cognitive test, he says Harris didn't pass her bar exam. And it says half true. Harris didn't pass her bar exam the first time, according to a 2016 New
Which
York
most
Times.
people don't.
Hmm?
Which most people don't pass the first time.
Yeah, but the thing about it is just, first of all, you know, I don't I don't get to vote. I do not get to vote. However, because I'm a permanent resident alien, I have my green card. Donald Trump doesn't need to build a wall for me. Um,
Are you sure about
but
that?
positive child. But it's just, I don't know. The entire time, she was asking him very pointed questions, and he did not have realistic answers.
No, not at all. But that's who he is. He sees everything in stereotypes. He doesn't see people as actually human. He doesn't really actually care, so he doesn't care if he answers your question or not. He's a sociopath.
I just, I was, I was really shocked.
I'm only disappointed that they didn't get to the topic of abortion. I guess they briefly touched on it, but oh, he did. They did. They talked about Roe v. Wade. That was another lie he told, that everybody wanted the end to Roe v. Wade. That's bullshit. 70% of the country believed that Roe v. Wade should have stayed at a federal level. He just lied. He lied about everything. Okay, finish about the the college.
Well, it just said that she didn't pass, and then claims about
No, she did
Black.
pass. She just didn't pass the first
Yes, she
time.
did. Just not the first time. His claims about Black Americans and programs. Trump says, I have been the best president for the Black population since Abraham Lincoln.
Who says something like that?
Historians generally agree with that. Abraham Lincoln accomplished the most for Black Americans by persecuting the civil what? Yeah, by persecuting the Civil War to end slavery. But a more recent president who accomplished a lot for Black Americans was Lyndon B. Johnson. His accomplishments on behalf of African Americans, the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing Act were historic. University of Texas historian H.W. Barnes told politic fact in 2019. So they're just going into who was a better president
Yes,
there.
he. It is undeniable that Black people and marginalized people do better under Democratic presidents than financially, socially, economically under Democratic presidents as opposed to Republican presidents. That's a standing, long held belief. Trump was good to HBCUs because all of the presidents went to the White House and kissed his ass. So he did put in a permanent 28 million, I believe, that he released to HBCUs. But what he did was, have you ever heard of Upward Bound? The Upward Bound program?
No.
Okay, it's where they take high school students and give them a college experience. And this
Oh,
you and
okay.
usually and you have to be um, at a certain socioeconomic to qualify to you have to be under the poverty level to take place with it. What he did is he zeroed that out and gave that money to the HBCUs. So he robbed from Peter to pay for Paul. So
Mm.
and his yeah, it you have to when politicians make these sweeping statements, you have to really check them on it. But what this says is, a minute, where is it? I have been the best president. No, no, no. Trump said historically Black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them. And I gave them long term financing, and nobody else was doing it. We rated Trump's campaign promise to ensure funding for HBCUs a promise kept after Trump signed the Futures Act in 2019. The act ensures that the original science, technology, and engineering and math funding for HBCUs from the then President George W. Bush 2007 College Cost Reduction Act would continue to be awarded without having to go back to Congress annually. So all he did was it had been renewed every year or every 4 years. I don't know how often. Oh, every year to give the STEM program at HBCUs at 28 million. Trump just made that permanent. So he didn't actually give anything additional. It's the same 28 million they had been getting since George H.W. Bush. In exchange, it's an exaggeration, however, to say that nobody else was doing it. In the House, Democrats were unanimous in their support, with two more Republicans voting against the bill for it. And Biden has taken financial support for HBCUs further, including investing in the 2021 American Rescue Plan and new grant research. And new research grants. So he's not the best, and they weren't broke before he made the grants permanent. He's just a liar. If we were talking about any other Republican, I wouldn't have I wouldn't be so angry. But there is no upside to Trump, none. And people who support him,
Some people
I
feel that I've heard a lot of people say that is the best candidate on the ballot, and Kamala is a disaster, and it would be a disaster if she became the president.
a disaster, but they can't say how or what or why. These are just statements, and these are just statements that aren't bared out by the facts. Uh, do you know how many millions of people died of COVID because we had an incompetent president? And the reason why inflation is so high is because Trump imposed tariffs on foreign imports. Uh, basically everything we get is a foreign import. And he calls them tariffs, but tariffs are just taxes on us. So we are paying higher taxes because companies who ship our goods and services here have to pay more. So they pass that cost back on to us. People are talking about that little flimsy, what was it, $1,500 stimulus check that they got under Trump. Well, Biden gave you $2,500. So I would like to. I don't talk to the people who support Trump. I would like to, and I just would like them to tell me why. I mean, not that people owe me an explanation, but if you're gonna say Harris is gonna be a disaster, based on what? She was a successful DA. She was a successful senator, and she was obviously successful enough for Biden to make her his vice president.
I'm looking at the map right now.
At the
Let's see
electoral
what
college
you're
map,
saying.
I can't see.
The
I can just
270
see
to
the map.
win.
Yeah.
Hold
What
on.
is
I'm trying to
Democrats are at?
scroll.
So it looks like Harris is going to probably pick Bashir. Some people all day have been saying she's going to pick Shapiro. I don't see that happening. I think that's wishful thinking on a lot of people's part. But I think that's going to be a big determining fact in how the polls shape out. Who she picks as a vice presidential candidate, as her VP. So what's this saying?
Well, as it stands, Harris is at 226 electoral college votes. Trump is at 251. In order to win, he needs 19 and she needs 44.
And see, here's the thing. The red states are smaller, have fewer people, so they have fewer electoral college votes. So that he needs more states to win. She doesn't need as many because the larger states, the red states with the big cities in them, though they carry more electoral college votes. Scroll back up for a second. Let me see if I can get on the same page.
On the map?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it on my end because I can't.
Okay.
The screen is too small.
This is my new favorite website recommended.
Isn't it?
By my work wife. What?
I love this website. It's very addicting. So my computer's taking forever. When Dale listened to one of my shows and said, "Okay, you have to get a new laptop." He was like, "Your show just cut off in the middle." And Medea was left up there to talk alone. And the whole thing with Trump was saying about, they're opening up their insane asylums and their prisons, and they're sending people here. That's not true. And based on Texas statistics, natural born citizens commit far more crime than immigrants. So he's just trying to stoke animosity between African Americans and Hispanics. And it's mostly Mexicans that they have the problem with. But, a lot of people from Honduras, a lot of people from...
I don't know. I would really hope that it's not working.
It has worked for... if you listen to the rhetoric by Black activists about immigration, they blame a lot of their cities' problems on illegal immigration. And you can look at Eric Adams, his own comments, that New York can't survive with another wave of illegal immigrants. They weren't saying that 2 centuries ago when people were coming over here from Ireland and people were coming over here from Scotland and England, and from the poorest, the dumbest, the most uneducated, that they were shipping them over here. Nobody had a problem with that. Matter of fact, Trump's raggedy family wouldn't even exist if America hadn't taken them in. But then you go, well, we're talking about illegal immigration. They're talking about asylum seekers as well, because at the border, there are millions, maybe a million plus asylum seekers. And I believe it's asylum that allows people from Jamaica, people from parts of Africa. If you can get here, you can stay here. That's the promise America made. And a lot of those people are being miscategorized as illegal immigrants and being sent back to their countries, back to and breaking a promise America has made with them. I didn't hear you. What'd you say? Did I drop?
Well, we have a treat.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
No,
Medea?
can you not hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you. I just say, can you hear? Okay, cool. There's
Yeah,
not
I
a
can hear
single
you.
black activist that blames immigrants for anything. Crystal with the C, you probably wouldn't attract those kind of people. But there are activists all over the country that have been galvanized by the Republican Party to pit black people against Hispanic people, especially here in California. I hope it's not like that the rest of the country. I pray it's not.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's sick.
How to remove objects in your photos in 15 seconds.
But we have a treat.
Okay,
Lisa says what?
Okay, what's the treat? I'm ready for it.
Ready?
Yep.
Kamala responds to Trump's attacks from that.
Woo! Yes.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
This evening, and I say that as a proud member of the Divine Nine. And when I look out, and here I see family. And you know, we share a vision for the future of our nation. Ours is a vision of a future in which we realize the promise of America. And aren't so many of us empirical evidence of the promise of America? A promise of freedom, opportunity, and justice, not for some, but for all. Since 1922, the members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated have helped realize that promise. Generation after generation, the members of this sorority have shown that greater service brings greater progress.
Amen.
I know. In the 1920s and 30s, you created college scholarships for young Black women. In the 1960s and 70s, you launched a nationwide program to help folks get a job. In the 1990s, you formed a partnership with St. Jude to fight childhood cancer. And in 2020, you continued your leadership when, during the height of a pandemic, you helped elect Joe Biden president of the United States.
That's right.
And me as the first woman vice president of the United States. And for all of those reasons, I'm here to thank you for your long-standing service to our nation and to declare in this moment that our nation needs your leadership once again. In this moment, we face a choice between two very different visions for our nation. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. And we in this room are fighting for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hold on.
A future with affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid leave. And we fight for a future with equal pay for women. Because we know when we lift up the economic status of women, we lift up the economic status of children, of families, and all of society benefits.
That's right.
We here work for a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead, to build a business, to own a home, and to build intergenerational wealth. We here see a future where we bring down the cost of living for hardworking Americans, which is why we are fighting to ban more of those hidden fees and surprise late charges that banks and other companies use to pad their profits. To take on corporate landlords and cap rent increases, and take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans. All of this to say, we are working to build up, not tear down.
Just breathe and think about it.
And to build up America's families and America's middle class. Because we know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. But as we work to move our nation forward, let us be clear, there are those who are trying to take us backward. You may have seen their agenda. They call it Project 2025. Right. And it is a 900-page agenda of extremism. Project 2025 would raise taxes on middle-class families and cut taxes for billionaires, eliminate the Department of Education, and end programs like Head Start, which of course would take away preschool from hundreds of thousands of our children. All of this to build on what Donald Trump did in his first term. When he was president, he gave tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations. He tried to cut Social Security and Medicare every single year. And he and his allies have tried more than 60 times to end the Affordable Care Act, and to take us back to a time when insurance companies had the power to deny people with pre-existing conditions. Remember what that was? Denying children with asthma, breast cancer survivors, grandparents with diabetes. And you know, America has tried these failed policies before, and we are not going back. We are not going back. We all here remember what those 4 years were like. And today, we were given yet another reminder. This afternoon, Donald Trump spoke at the annual meeting of the National Association of Black Journalists.
And it was a hot
And it was
mess.
the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect.
Yep.
And let me just say, the American people deserve better. The American people deserve better.
Hold on, y'all.
The Americans deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us.
You gotta get up a little earlier.
They are an essential source of our strength.
Let's work from home. You can pop in.
So I say,
like real quick.
to Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, Ours is a fight for the future. And it is a fight for freedom. Across our nation, we are witnessing a full-on attack on hard-fought, hard-won fundamental freedoms and rights. The freedom to vote, the freedom to be safe from gun violence, the freedom to live without fear of bigotry and hate, the freedom to love who you love openly and with pride, the freedom to learn and acknowledge America's true and full history, and the freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
Thank you.
A fight for our most fundamental freedoms. And to this room of leaders, I say, bring it on.
Let me go.
Bring it on, those who would dare to attack these fundamental freedoms. Because we here, we love our country. We love our country.
Look, let me get back to the
And I
line.
believe it is the highest form of patriotism to fight for the ideals of our country.
And to vote.
So we who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will finally pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. We who believe that every person should be free from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban. And we who believe in reproductive freedom will fight for a woman's right to choose, because we know one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree the government should not be telling her what to do. Because we know faith and freedom can coexist. And understand, when he was president, Donald Trump handpicked 3 members of the United States Supreme Court, the Court of Thurgood and RBG, because he intended for them to overturn the protections of Roe v. Wade. And as he intended, they did. And now, in the South, where the majority of Black women live, every state except for Virginia has an abortion ban. Many with no exception even for rape and incest. And now he intends to pass a nationwide abortion ban to access to fundamental health care in every state. But I will not let that happen. I promise you, when I am president of the United States, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, I will sign it into law. So in this, you're welcome. So in this moment, our fundamental freedoms are on the ballot. And so is our democracy. This month, and it really bears, just with all that's been happening, to for a moment pause and think about it. This month, the Supreme Court basically just told the former president, who has been convicted of fraud, that going forward, he will be immune for activity we know he is prepared to engage in if he gets back into the White House. Recall, Donald Trump has openly vowed, if reelected, to be a dictator on day one, that he will weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, that he will round up peaceful protesters and throw them out of our country, and even, quote, terminate the United States Constitution.
He said all of that.
So in conclusion, I say to the incredible members of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, there is so much at stake in this moment. Election day is in 97 days. And in this moment, once again, our nation is counting on you to energize, to organize, and to mobilize, to register folks to vote and get them to the polls, because when we organize, mountains move. When we mobilize, nations change. And when we vote, we make history. So
Well
let
done.
us
Good
continue
speech.
to fight with faith, with optimism, and with hope. We win. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Yes, vlog lurker. Put those blue hearts in
But
Paris 2024. We heard most of it. You know, here's the difference. If you listen to this speech and you listen to Trump's speech, she's offering a vision of the future of equity in this experiment called America. She's offering hope. That's exactly how Obama won. His slogan was what? Hope and change. You know, you can't just say the country is going to hell in a handbasket, the country is doomed, we're being invaded. You can't have that kind of rhetoric for a 14-month campaign without it getting weary on voters. Voters need something to be excited about. That is why Joe Biden had to go. That is why Joe Biden had to step down, because he did not generate the same kind of excitement and hope that KamalaHarris is doing. I mean, like I said, I would have voted Joe Biden if they propped his ass up weekend at Bernie style and drug him to the Oval Office every day. I was not going to vote for Trump, and I was not going to vote for any third party. So I was disappointed initially, but I am completely relieved and feel that KamalaHarris is competent enough to run a good campaign, because she's done that so far. I think she's got much better people around her than she had when she ran for president. And I think, while she made a bad impression the first time with America, she's reintroducing herself, and I think she's succeeding, and the polls bear that out.
I mean, she definitely has pivoted into a more leadership presence, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to play devil's advocate with you, as well as everybody in the room and all of you guys on the replay. We have been living in a Kamala United States already for the past 4 years.
No way.
What do you mean, no
What do you
way?
mean? What does that mean?
The policies that Joe Biden has that have, made inflation or made the price of food
I
go
just
up.
told you how
And
inflation got. No, I told.
I'm just talking from
I
like
got
the average person from the outside looking in who does not
right.
research, doesn't look at the policies, is just based on what they're saying. Because I find that a lot of voters, people who are going to vote or need to vote, don't see or look at the actual policies. They believe a lot of the propaganda. So what do
Mm-hmm.
you do? What do you say to those people who are like, we've been living in a Kamala presidency because she's the vice president and she's been working along with Joe Biden to run this country down. Our
How
food
is
prices are
my
high,
first?
gas prices are high, rent is high. I can't live like this. I need a change. Maybe Donald Trump will do something.
Okay, well, that's because wages are low. Who sets wages? Not the president. Corporate America sets the wages. What the federal government can do is they can raise the federal minimum wage, and that usually is a guidepost for states to follow. Here in California, we live in a Camilla economy here, and it is not the president doesn't set prices. The president doesn't make you earn a living wage. He can only set policy, he can only sign policy that comes from your Congress people. But that's the long answer. Also, inflation is high because of the uh, pandemic, and it's global. So it's not, inflation is high all over the world, which leads you to believe that Joe Biden was not running the entire world. It's an every nation problem. We wouldn't be in the financial, the middle class wouldn't be in the financial pinch at the end now if millionaires and billionaires paid their fair share of taxes. But as you can remember, Trump is the one who gave them the uh, tax cuts. You know how much money that takes? That takes billions and billions of dollars out of the economy when millionaires and billionaires don't pay their fair share of taxes, and it doesn't. And but they use the same goods and services we all do. You have to pay your taxes, right? Don't you wish you could take half of your assets and hide them over in Jamaica somewhere and not be taxed on it?
Oh,
Or be given.
absolutely. I would jump at that opportunity.
So it's if people work in the public sector, their problem with getting low wages is with their employer, not with the president of the United States. But I understand the the concern. But here's the reality: the economy is doing better than it's ever done. The stock market is high, GDP is low. And I think that's all that, and that those are indicators that the economy is doing very, very well. And consumer spending is up. Meaning people are.
And another thing that I
Mhm.
noticed too with this election, amongst, um, I've seen it with male content creators, um, on IG, on YouTube, on Facebook, even on
Mhm.
Bigo, where they're making the case that she can't be president because she's a woman.
And that's the only reason. Well, tell them when you hear that, say, how come India was able to give us a female president? How come England, Great Britain was able to give us a, a woman president? How come nations in Africa have been able to give us a woman president, but not the United States? Mexico just elected their first female president. We're behind Mexico. You know,
Mhm.
there have been dozens of women heads of state. So unless they can tell me some specific genetic impairment that women have that who can't run the country, that makes them incapable of running the country, I would just look.
It's crazy to me because women run an entire household.
Women have run states and
You know what I'm saying?
cities for since Ann Richards ran Texas. It's just ridiculous.
And to be honest, she's the VP right now, so she is technically kind of running the country at this time.
Well, she's been
I'm sure she has to take a back
absolutely
seat to Joe Biden and his, what he wants to do because she is the VP. She's
right.
not
She
the
has to.
president.
She follows his agenda.
So, right. So that's another hot point that a lot of Republicans are saying because Joe Biden's agendas allegedly have been
They're
terrible,
lying.
wasteful. We lose money,
The
you know.
economy. Then you
But
can't
again,
explain.
I'm speaking from a
But I know
generic
where they get. But
person
I know
who
these are
does
people who probably listen
research.
to Fox News, and this is it's the truth. It's the truth because you will never hear a Joe Biden accomplishment if you listen to Fox. I think their Money channel. Um, they have no choice but to admit how good the economy. I'm gonna just go over this. How is the economy doing? It's strong right now. But people are underpaid. The federal, I think the federal, I mean, what were we looking at, the minimum wage in North Carolina?
It's
That's not a
$7.75, I
living
think.
wage. Who do you think is? Let me ask you
No,
something.
it's not.
Who do you
I don't know.
think is going to fight for a higher minimum wage? Donald Trump or Kamala Harris?
Why haven't they done that as a team now?
Who?
Biden and
They have
Harris.
raised the federal minimum wage, but every state have their own minimum wage. We have states' rights in this country. Presidents can't just come and tell you what to do in your state. And half the country, and more than half the country, is red. They don't want to raise their
So the
minimum wage
governor.
because that will make their corporate donors angry.
Mm.
So just ask people straight up, who do you think it? Do you want fighting for you to get a higher minimum wage? The people that gave you a higher federal minimum wage, or the people who don't believe that their minimum wage should even exist? Meaning, employers should be able to pay you what they want to pay you, what they think you're worth, not the government setting a standard. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's another thing. We have people who are civically illiterate and they don't know how things work. And I don't know, when we stopped teaching civics in school, or if people just weren't paying attention, they didn't think it was important. I have no idea. But people don't know that the president is not a king. He can't just wave a magic wand. The reason why all they can do is raise the federal minimum wage. That is why people want to work for the federal government, because they pay a higher wage than private industry in some cases. In a lot of cases, especially in the hourly employee rate. Federal. We just did this the other night. So what else are you hearing out there? The federal minimum wage is $16. You see how far off?
There was a guy recently that came out.
Huh?
Publicly, he came out. I don't know if
Okay.
you've seen it, but he was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to life in
Okay.
prison. And he said that when his sentencing came down, Kamala Harris was in the back of the courtroom and she laughed. And he was an innocent man. He fought it, appealed it, and got
I don't know
out.
what she was laughing at. I mean, I don't think. What does that mean?
I
No,
don't
but I
know,
mean, what
but
does
I'm
that
just
say?
telling you.
She probably thought he was guilty.
I mean, the thing about it is,
I mean,
first of all, the thing to me, this is my thing
mhm.
though. I think she was the attorney general or she was in some other position. You can't be mad at the prosecutor because they do a good. You can't get mad at the attorney general
Because she scored a
if the
touchdown.
prosecutor did a good job. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
you can't blame her for
No.
that. She didn't prosecute that case. Now, if she was the prosecutor, I would say, "Oh, dang!" But they're reaching for a lot of different things to discredit her, to make her very unpopular.
Yes.
I feel that because of her job in law enforcement as an attorney general, and I think prior to that, she did work as a prosecutor. Did she work as a prosecutor? Let me see.
Yes, she was here in California.
I don't want to miss.
Can you hear me? Now, when you type in Kamala Harris,
Say what?
the first thing that pops up is what is her nationality because of that crazy. Always as a
That's
black woman, I
funny.
don't know where he even got that from. He's a troll. That's another thing. Trump is a troll. He'll read something off the internet and think it's true. He has people who are supposed to fact check him, people who make sure he's said all those people don't exist. He just says whatever he wants to. He's the first troll president.
I mean, the National Black Association of Journalists fact checked him in real time, and pretty much every single answer he gave was untrue or
Or he
half
didn't answer.
true.
I know he was
Yeah.
so happy. The interview was supposed to be an hour and it was only 30 minutes. His people pulled him.
Yeah, his people pulled it because they knew he wasn't
No,
doing
they
well.
should have known he wasn't going to do well anyway, unless he was tightly scripted. But he lets his freak flag fly at every chance he gets. He does not control himself. Sound like somebody else we know who has zero self-control. Okay, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No, I'm trying to look up her resume
Yeah, she was
so that we could look and see. Okay, she held U.S. Senate 2017 through 2021. Uh, she served as Attorney General of California 2011 to 2017. So she held both positions. Okay, not bad.
keep going.
Did you hear that?
Keep going. She
Huh?
was a district attorney here. And
She in July of 2024 following, hold on a second. They just skipped straight to her endorsement for president from Attorney General. So it must have been in her capacity as Attorney General that he's claiming that she laughed. But I mean, she's not prosecuting
well,
the
she
case.
is
So
prosecuting a case. She's gonna
oh wait, I'm sorry. I missed some
yeah,
of her
where she
resume.
was in Oakland. Can you hear me?
Oh wow. It says yeah, I can hear you. It says President of the United
No,
States.
it doesn't. Screenshot that.
Oh no, Vice
Okay.
President. I'm sorry. It says 49th
I was gonna say
Vice
if
President.
they
My
already now
bad.
if Wikipedia already made her president, you gotta screenshot that.
And here it says she was the first Black American and first Asian um, American to hold the post of Vice President of the United States.
Yeah. Back in what was it? Let me see. I pulled it up. It was 1989. Gerald Ford predicted that the only way we would get a female president, former President Gerald Ford, said that the only way we would get a woman president is if we had a male president in office who nominates a woman as his vice president and then gets inexplicably either dead or incapacitated and she gets elected. So we'll see if that prediction comes true.
Wow.
So far, yeah, he was like Nostradamus. He broke it down. I'll put the clip in the it's only a 2-minute clip. He breaks it down completely. I believe really strongly that she's going to beat the pants off of Trump. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a partisan. I'm saying that because I'm looking at the polls, I'm looking at the momentum, I'm looking at the money raised, and there has always been a disaffected section of African Americans that don't know who their state, their local government officials are, who don't know how politics work, who couldn't tell you the three branches of government. But
No.
these are
And I think that's what I hear from that when I hear a lot of the comments, I'm like, and a lot of the things that they're saying, I'm like, it's for me, it's it's I kind of take it a little personal.
mm-hmm,
I kind of take it a little personal, and I'll tell you why I take it a little personal because I'm not allowed to
right.
vote. I'm allowed to live here. I'm allowed to pay taxes here. I'm allowed to even go to prison here if I if I F around
Thank
and
you.
find out. But I'm not allowed to vote. So when I hear people or speak to people who are so uneducated about politics or the political climate or even voting down ballot, making sure that you know who you're voting for for your Senate
Mm-hmm.
seat, for your state governor, for your mayor, all of that. Like some people don't even
They
pay
don't.
attention.
But then every 4 years, they've got all this pontificating they want to do. Like, and I love Ray Shrummer. And the lead singer of Ray Shrummer, a kid named Swally, says, "Don't vote for Kamala Harris. Do your research first." I'm like, you probably don't even know who the freaking Secretary of State is, Attorney General. You don't know anything, and you shouldn't be giving political advice, Mr. Hip Hop Star. I don't say that celebrities can't get into politics. They just need to know their shit before they do. But
Right.
it's and you know they don't. You can tell the ones who don't because they make ad hominem criticisms of her. They laugh about her name. She's too black. She's not black enough.
Her
She
laugh
lied.
is weird.
Her laugh is weird. They were telling Hillary
Like,
Clinton, "You need to laugh more." So whatever she's doing, it's going to be the opposite. She is the enemy. They are going to come after her. But if that's all they have, because you know why? Because the policies that Camilla Harris fights for, the policies that Harris legislated for, the policies that Camilla Harris wrote, well, those things are things that the American people agree on overwhelmingly, including Black Americans. They agree that America should have universal health care, that we should have the same kind of health care they have across the border in Mexico and in uh, Canada. Everybody believes that college is not affordable, that it should either be free for in-state tuition. If you go to a state school in your state, that you should be given free, tax-free. You should be given free uh, college.
well, Donald
Everybody
Trump said that the day one, he plans to shut down the Department of Education.
exactly. And what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what that means? All of you who have kids in college, you're at risk. All of you who have kids in K through 12, you're at risk for them to shut down. Now they probably won't be able to actually shut down the Department of Education without causing a major upheaval in every child's education. You think COVID was bad? Well, get ready for this. Get ready for Project 2025. Do you know how much? Do you know how many people will lose their jobs if they got rid of the Department of Education? What would teachers do?
Right. What would teachers do? What would the lunch ladies do? What would the gym teachers do?
Janitors
What
do?
would the extracurricular teachers do? What would the bus drivers do?
Yes, that is. the school chancellors, the school deans,
Yeah.
all of the administrators.
School nurses.
Research would come to a halt. You know, usually state schools, they get grants to research diseases, and it would throw the entire, and parents would have to stay home, you know, which means usually the mother, who usually has to work to keep a roof over their heads. It would be a disaster. But the Project 2025, that's one of its crowning achievements. That's the thing they're most impressed with themselves about, is closing down the Department of Education and clearing out the federal government. That means your postmen. That means the people who work at the DMV. You know, well, maybe they're kind of hated, but you know, all
Even
of
if
the,
they still have to feed their families.
yeah, but do you think that they care at the Heritage Foundation? They don't care. Find another job is what they tell you. Go work in the in the private sector. They're
This feels
talking
like
about
they're trying to set
fundamentally
it up
changing.
to make it more lucrative also for private prisons.
Well, that's, yeah. Of course they do. Of course
I
they would.
mean, you know, because
Private
private prisons, they
check
don't
when
do
you
like
go vote for
that.
somebody. When you're voting for someone, go check and see how much money they get from the private prison lobby. You'd be surprised. Remember, every industry has a lobby that goes into and meets with these Congress people, these senators.
Where's the
aldermen.
black lobby?
Which one?
I'm just saying, any of them. You said every person goes and have a lobbyist or whatever.
I said every industry.
Yeah, okay.
The music industry has a lobby. The entertainment industry has lobbies. The banking industry, the oil industry. You want to know why Trump is so worried about electric vehicles, which are the future? It's like trying to fight the freaking internet. It is what it is. The future is coming whether you like it or not. Everybody in 20 years will be driving an electric vehicle. They're more efficient, they're faster, and they're stylish.
Do you think his stance on electric cars has anything to do with Elon Musk pulling his support?
No, I think that his because he gets money from the oil lobby. Big oil companies do not want us to go electric. They want to keep us tied to fossil fuel, which is destroying the atmosphere, which is destroying the planet. It's obsolete. You know, I believe that, I can't remember what country this is, but they're running like 60% of their public vehicles are electric vehicles. Here in California, all of our public transportation are EVs. Maybe there's not all, but that's where they're pushing. Yeah. I think that's the push here in California. But
that's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah, that is why that's why they say climate change is not happening, because big oil wants to keep us on fossil fuels. You know, you make oil. How do you get gasoline? Oil.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. I really believe she's going to win. I believe that the convention, she's going to, well, she says she's going to nominate her VP, I believe this week.
Oh, so before the convention?
Before the convention.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. And
I mean, they're in a crunch, you know. It's crunch time. The election has been going on. It would be a good idea for her to put her VP pick up on the stage with her at the conference.
I think so too.
So I think that's smart. That's very strategic
Yep.
because
And
Donald Trump had JD Vance at the RNC.
talk about buying a lemon. I hope he still has a receipt for him because he made a huge mistake. A
You
huge
think so?
mistake. With JD Vance?
Yeah. Why do you think that?
Oh, he's polling be in double digits, negative.
Oh.
And there's so many memes out there. I can't even get into some of them. They're so dirty. But he is not charismatic. And when Trump was asked today, about is your vice president ready to step into the shoes of into your shoes if something were to happen to you, he never said yes. He just said, "Oh, vice presidents, they don't really matter." That's not true. Joe Biden's win is huge. The reason why he won the black vote overwhelmingly, number one, he was Obama's vice president, but number two, he had a black woman on the ticket, and that energized a lot of people that probably maybe would have sat out the election, but it galvanized a lot of people. And
Hmm.
it's easy to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, people out there who follow this thing, John McCain got trounced by Obama for a number of reasons, but his party stepped away from him and voted for Obama because he picked Sarah Palin as his vice presidential. So the vice president definitely matters. The reason why Kennedy was able to win is because he had a Southerner in LBJ on his ticket. So Trump's assertion that vice president picks don't matter, I think he effed around and he's about to find out with JD Vance. JD Vance said that people with no children should have fewer rights in this country than people with children, and that the half the country was being run by childless cat ladies.
Ladies,
I mean, who
I
says
heard
that?
that too.
Yes, he's
I
a
was like,
bum.
what?
And the thing is, prior to him getting picked, to getting into politics, JD Vance was the biggest never Trumper. He said Trump is the American Hitler. He said he hates cops and that he sympathizes with BLM. He was pro-choice. And all of a sudden, when he ran for the Senate, because Peter Thiel wanted him to, he becomes this MAGA guy. So he's not even sincere in his beliefs. At least Trump is sincere in his beliefs. He believes what he believes. But JD Vance is a billionaire bum.
I
And
heard that his book was a whole lie.
oh yeah, the people in the Appalachians, the book is called
Hmm.
Hillbilly Elegy. I guess I did read it. That's when he was a lot, like I said, he was just a rational thinking person. Throughout COVID, he would send out great tweets about, trust the science, blah 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 blah. Anyway, all these people who live in the Appalachians were insulted by his book, and because he never really lived there, he visited his grandparents in the time, and they didn't even live in the Appalachian. So
Oh my
and
goodness.
the whole thing, what people there in that community felt was that he was talking down to them, and he says that they are lazy, and it's their fault that they're in the economical straits that they're in generation after generation.
Mm.
So no, they did not take kindly to his book. But yeah, he's
Well, I'm
not very
excited to see who Kamala picks.
yeah, I think it's going to be Andy Bashir, out of Kentucky. I wanted Mark Kelly. but that's not going to be possible because his it would leave a Senate seat open, and the Republicans in Arizona would probably be able to. I think they have a. Do they have a
To get
Democratic
the
governor?
Senate seat.
Yeah, they would take the. They'd have a chance at the Senate seat, and the Democrats I think are only have won the Senate by 2 senators.
Mm.
So, and that now I'm going to tell you what would happen virtually within years time if Kamala
Look, hold
becomes
on. Let me read this to you real quick. No,
okay.
go ahead. Virtually in a year's time.
If Kamala won the presidency, the Democrats got the House and the Senate, we would have universal health care. We would have raised the minimum wage. We would have the George Floyd Police and Accountability Act. We would have the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. We would be back among in the Paris Accord. We would re-engage with Iran. Well, I don't know about now because of the whole thing with Israel. This country would be firmly supportive of the middle class and the poor. That is what I believe. But you have to give a president a Congress and a Senate because that's the process. And if those things are and millionaires and billionaires would be paying their fair share of taxes. That's what I if she were to get the Senate, and I believe she would if Joe Biden doesn't do it before he leaves office, she would lift the federal ban on marijuana. Her Congress would.
Y'all vote for Harris.
Yes, but Joe Biden can do it before he leaves office. He can do it through an executive order.
Well, let me read this to you.
Yes.
I Googled who are Kamala's VP picks. And it says that tier includes Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, and Transportation
Secretary
Security Pete
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. Approximately 10 hopefuls remain overall, and Harris will be conducting formal interviews with contenders as early as Wednesday.
That's what happened.
This was one day ago.
And of those, Josh Shapiro, like I said the other day, he's not going to get it because he's Jewish. It'll be too risky for a black woman and a white Jew to be on the same ticket. Pete Buttigieg,
And a
he's
white
Jewish.
One? Oh. Okay.
Pete Buttigieg, no, he's a great communicator. He's young, he's smart, but he's gay, and he's married to a man. And I don't think America's ready for a gay man married to another man with a black woman with a Jewish husband. Just don't think so. Mark Kelly, we already said, he's a great candidate, former astronaut, former Navy, married to Gabby Giffords, who was pumed in the head with an AK-47 at a political rally. She was a congresswoman from Arizona. Great candidate, but that would be giving up a Senate seat. And Walz, oh man, he's a hoot. He's got personality galore, but he's old. I think he's older than Kamala, and he looks old. So it could be a plus or a minus, he looks older, wiser, has a lot of experience. So he could go either way. But Andy Bashir they look like Ken and Barbie on the ticket. He's good looking, he's witty, he's smart, he's a Democratic governor governing a red state. That's no small task. That means he can work with the other side. He's bipartisan. And there might be some questions about his record on, but nothing they can overcome. I'm putting money on Bashir.
So basically, what you're saying is you're voting for Donald Trump.
No, never.
I'm just messing with you.
No, I'm gonna gleefully.
Oh,
I'm gonna probably do some canvassing for the Harris campaign as soon as she announces her running mate.
so election day is Thursday, November 5th, 2024. And let's see here. When did they announce the president?
When all the votes are counted. But it took I think it took 4 or 5 days in 2020 because of COVID, because they had so many mail-in ballots. But that's about it. It just depends on how long it takes to count the votes. And if one candidate it's early out of the reach of the other candidate, then they call it. It's whenever the media calls the election. But
Well,
within hours, you kind of it's going to be a close election. That's the truth. It's going to be a very close election, and
you believe it's going to be very close?
But I think she's going to beat him.
I feel like it's going to be a landslide
in Harris's favor. Go back to your
she's gaining a lot of momentum.
Go back to your calendar, your map.
Hold on. Let me go back to the map.
I think it was 236 to 251.
I think she's at 226.
Okay, 226
to 251. 251 Trump, 226.
I got 236, but nonetheless.
Harris. But the polls are showing that she is picking up a lot of Joe Biden was not.
So if she picks, you see Kentucky here, it only has 8 electoral votes. So picking Andy Bashir is not going to get her any electoral college votes. That's solid for Trump. But if she picks Shapiro, let's see. If she picks Shapiro, which will probably get her Michigan as well, she only needs two states and she wins. However, see all that red?
The map coming over. I don't understand. Can you see it? Is the map there? Child, this is acting crazy right now.
Oh, we're not. I thought we were looking at the same thing.
Okay. It finally showed up.
Okay, there it is. So click on Pennsylvania.
Give me a second, Lisa. My computer's. There we go.
I got you. Hey, that show that's up on the screen, Yellowstone, that's a good show. Okay, we got the map up now, Crystal with the C, I think. Yeah. If anybody is looking for a really good show about a crazy family of cattle ranchers,
Goodness, why is my
it is a very good show. Yellowstone.
computer doing this right now?
Welcome to my world.
On Pennsylvania?
Yes. Yes, can you hear me? Click on Pennsylvania. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Medea. Okay. Yeah, did you click on Pennsylvania? Your mic is going in and out. I think it's restream.
What is going on? What is that? What is that sound?
I don't know what sound are you hearing.
Do you hear it? I was hearing something say like, you said click on Pennsylvania, right?
I couldn't understand anything you just said. Yes, click on Pennsylvania.
Is it telling?
Yeah, now look up. But I can't hear you.
Oh, the map talks to you?
Yes, but I can't hear you. You keep going in and out.
Because I clicked the map. I'm not clicking it anymore.
Okay. But yes, it will talk to you. I'm telling you, this website is very addictive. I was supposed to drop it in the link in the comments.
I had no idea what
But
that was.
So you see. Okay, so you see, with Pennsylvania, you get 19 electoral college votes. If she can get Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, click on Wisconsin. That gives her 270.
I'm not clicking on Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
I can't chance it with my computer. It's going to break down.
Broke down in Wisconsin.
Actually, huh?
So, yeah. This map is fun. You just got to play with it.
If she gets the one state?
No, if she gets Pennsylvania, that's 19 electoral college votes. And she gets Wisconsin. That's 270.
Wow.
From 226. From 236, excuse me. Hey, Crystal with the C. Something foreign. I didn't even speak to y'all. How are you guys doing today? How are y'all doing? Did I say hey to Vlog Lurker? But yes, I whether it's a landslide or a tight race,
attention.
I think she's got this in the bag, especially after Trump's bad press today.
I feel like she makes Donald Trump nervous.
Oh, she definitely does. I think black people make him nervous. He's only used to being around illiterate ass uh, rappers. He's not used to being around.
You owe me a quarter in the
Oh, I'm
first jar.
sorry. Let me
This is not the Medea channel.
exactly. I messed up. But I wanted to quote you, give you these stats on how uh, about abortion among adults under age 30. 76 say abortion should be legal in all or most cases, as do 61% of adults in their 30s and 40s. Among those in their 50s and 60s, 57% express support for legal abortions. That is a huge number of people. And if they care about reproductive rights, not just abortion, but women's health care in general, then I think the guy who you have a choice. The guy who nominated 3 Supreme Court justices who got rid of women's reproductive rights, or the person that's going to fight for your reproductive rights. I mean, if you think abortion is the M word, then, you know, I guess Trump is for you. But if you don't, and you understand that it's women's health care and it's their right, then I don't know how you could vote for anyone other than Harris. It's just that simple. I mean, you have to find out what people are, what drives, why people vote. What are they looking for when they go to the poll? I always ask people, what's your top issue? Right now, the top issue in the country is democracy. It's very self. That's top of the economy, abortion, LGBTQ rights, uh, foreign policies. Democracy is at the top of everybody's list because they understand how fragile it is. And somebody like Trump, who's a bull in a china shop, can destroy it, and nearly did. I don't know. I don't think people remember how tough those 4 years of Trump were. It was constant turmoil in the country. There were riots, there was marches, there was COVID. It was a disaster. And then he's sitting here telling people to shoot bleach in their ass to get rid of the Rona. Excuse me, in their bums. I mean, I just don't know how any sane person picks Trump if they say they care about other people. I mean, if you're just a selfish person, then yeah, okay. I don't need me myself personally, I'm never gonna need an abortion. Too old. So but I still understand women who do. And if I think it's
Yeah,
morally
because
wrong,
from
then
my
I shouldn't do it.
it doesn't. I think doesn't the new law doesn't it apply to people who have been R-worded as well?
In some states. What the Supreme Court did is they punted it back to the states. They didn't make a decision saying Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional. They just feel like it should be determined by each individual state. So all of the South, I believe there are very few states that have the 3 exceptions. That's the R word, incest, or the health of the mother. And there are some states that don't, and it's probably yours, my love. I know. Was it Kentucky? Kentucky got theirs. their state Supreme Court struck it down. And so, but it's all these states are going through court proceedings. If you want to know who are these lawyers that take up these cases that go to the Supreme Court, well, you know who those are? They're Democrats. They're Democrats fighting every day in every court in the nation to keep your rights.
Well, I mean, this is a big election, to say the least. I thought Obama's election was a groundbreaking election, but
it
Kamala
was
Harris to see. No, but this is when she wins, the glass ceiling will be shattered.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because when
And
Obama
I think
won,
that's going to be a
that glass
beautiful
ceiling was
thing
broken.
for.
Yeah,
Well,
I get what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
he's a man.
Yeah, but he's a black man with a Muslim name. A few years after 9/11. I think I made this video a long time ago. I think I'm gonna post it on my channel about all the racist and how terrible the campaigns were against Obama. I think people forgot. I mean, that's how Trump launched his political career, by accusing Barack Obama of being a secret Muslim, saying that he wasn't born in the United States, which is one of the most racist things you could say about the man.
I remember when he questioned Barack Obama's origins.
Mm-hmm.
And he questioned his citizenship. I remember that.
Yeah. It was bad. It was bad.
But I
There was
mean,
a congressman. I can't remember who a congressman who, when congressmen get really psyched to meet the president, no matter who it is. It's the president of the United States. And this congressman refused to shake Obama's hand. That's when I knew it was going to be all out war. And then Chicago was vying for the Olympics. And I remember there was a room full of Republicans, and Oprah, Obama, Michael Jordan, all these black celebrities from Chicago went to, I can't remember where they went to, to try to get to the nominating process, to get your state or your city to host the Olympics. Chicago lost, and that room full of Republicans cheered. They cheered an American city losing an Olympic bid because they hated Obama so much. They hated his guts, and they're gonna hate hers too. And she's gonna be laughing all the way. This is gonna be historic for little girls everywhere. And this was not in the plan, but sometimes the best laid plans of mice and men do go awry. And we try to make all these great plans, and they don't end up turning out like you thought they would. I don't think that Kamala Harris pictured herself in this position at this juncture. But it must have been very obvious that Joe Biden could not campaign and be president at the same time. It was just wearing him out. But it's hard to argue
I'm
against
kind
people
of
who believe in
concerned
Trump,
though that I haven't seen him. Go ahead, Lisa.
What did he do yesterday? You said you haven't seen him?
Huh? I haven't seen him out on the campaign trail for Kamala. on the
He's gonna be the
campaign
keynote
trail.
speaker at the convention. Oh, well, shit. Are you trying to kill
Oh,
him? He never. I think Joe is too tired to be out on the campaign trail. He's gonna be the first night speaker at the the DNC convention. So he'll talk then.
mm.
Let's just let Joe make it through to December. Joe's tired, y'all.
When I say she's
Joe
giving
needs.
momentum, you see this?
Let me see. What do I see? What UAW?
What I just shared, is it sharing or not?
Yes, that's the largest labor union in the country. The UAW.
They just endorsed her.
Yep, very cool. But she's been working with the laborers for the past 3 years with the labor unions, and she's been very pro union, which I'm very pro union. I belong to a union, so she's very pro union, which is you need those votes. That's why I'm going to tell you why they want to destroy the Department of Education. By and large, I don't know what percentage, but most teachers and people in academia are Democrats, and they vote for Democrats. And the right wing resents that. And people who belong to unions are usually Democrats. And they believe that their idea for America is so diametrically opposed to Democrats that they want to destroy these unions and the people who vote for the Democratic Party. Now,
But
also,
if they
they're big
destroy
donors.
the union, how many jobs are impacted?
Oh, countless. You know why in Los Angeles there's no Walmarts?
There's no Walmarts in Los Angeles?
Nope.
You don't
They
have
won't
one
allow their
Walmart
employees
in LA?
because they won't allow their employees to unionize. And Walmart is the largest employer of next to even above Amazon as having the most U.S. citizens as employees. They employ more people than anyone else in the United States.
Oh, wow. So,
And they hate unions. You know why? Because unions impose standards and they'd have to raise everybody's salary. They had a division at a fast food restaurant, a very popular fast food. No, it was either a fast food restaurant or it was Walmart that taught their employees how to apply for food stamps. They had a little class so that all their employees would make sure they're on food stamps. If you're working a 9-to-5 job, you shouldn't need food stamps. You shouldn't need public assistance. And if Walmart paid its employees fairly, unions wouldn't exist. If they treated their employees fairly, unions wouldn't exist. But because they don't, we have unions. And they are in the Republican
just a
Party.
quick announcement,
anti-union.
everyone. Real quickly, says what? I have a quick announcement. Drum roll, please. Do you see that?
Danny Love, I can't see what it says though.
Hold on. It should be in the frame.
It is in the frame, but it's too small. Girl,
Let's click on it. Okay, now
you have to read it
do
because we
you see
can't
it?
see it.
You
I
can't
can't
see
see what it
it?
says. No, read it.
Okay. Well, this is posted just so you guys know, guys on the replay gang who are in the great state of North Carolina. Kamala Harris will be here August 8th in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Triangle area,
Woo!
for a rally, and I am going.
Very good. Too bad you can't become a citizen before December.
It's all right. I'm going. I've never, I
I'm
told
glad.
my daughter, I said, I really want to go. I said, I really want to go, even though I can't vote. She said, Mom, you're
But
so
you do
funny.
have the
I said, "No,
opportunity to become a citizen, though.
yeah, I could have become a citizen 20 years ago. See, the thing with the citizenship is for me, and I think I'm going to try to keep my Jamaican citizenship because I feel like if I took the path to citizenship, I would be, in a sense, denouncing my culture, where I'm from. I know that's not what I'd be doing, but I feel that way. I feel like I came into this world as a Jamaican and I want to leave as a Jamaican.
But you'll always be a Jamaican. You can wherever you
No,
go.
but I
You don't
mean
know.
on paper. On
I
paper. I
got you.
want them,
Well, you can
I
have
want,
dual citizenship.
no, Jamaica doesn't do that.
Oh, well, I mean, well, you're here in America. This is where you call your home. This is where you pay your taxes. And if I'm paying into a system that I can't benefit from, I'm be upset. I'm
Well,
going to be upset.
I mean, there would be a great benefit to vote and also, you know, well, not now because I'm happily retired, but it would have been nice to be able to become a civil servant because also as a green card holder, you're not allowed to be post office in the post
Right.
office. You can't be a police officer. None of that. And I think I would have been a great cop.
Oh Lord. You would have been a
But
great detective. I don't know about the cop on the streets. You might be one of those road cops shooting people, busting kneecaps.
it's just I don't know. I just feel very connected to my heritage, my culture, and who I am. So that's what makes it a little harder.
I don't know how that would feel because I would have a hard time uh denouncing my American hair but I think I take my culture wherever I go. And it's not like there's not a huge Jamaican culture here in America. So you're part of the culture, whatever you bring to it.
Yeah,
But
but
I
while we're in Atlanta, while we're down in Atlanta, I will be
mhm.
going to the Jamaican if I have to. I'm gonna call them. They open at 2 p.m. and they're only the closest consulate, Jamaican consulate, is in Atlanta.
Oh
So I'm
wow.
gonna work with them to try to get my documents so that I could get a Jamaican passport because I'm serious. Like I don't think that I'm ready to take the step to citizenship.
Can you travel back and forth freely?
I got to get my Jamaican passport.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Okay. We'll do baby steps. We'll get your passport, and then after that, and after this election, everything's going to be so patriotic and so pro America. I hope that the MAGAs don't riot when Trump loses. I hope that they don't go apeshit and say the election was stolen. The illegal immigrants voted. As an immigrant, you know you can't vote. Everybody knows that. They because here in California, we give whether you're illegal or not, they were given free COVID shots, and I believe you can collect food stamps if whether you're um
Whether
yeah,
you're legal or not?
whether you're legal or not, it's not your child's fault. It's not the child's fault. Is how California
Mm.
looks. You can enroll your child in school as long as they're vaccinated, and I believe that I if you're even if you're undocumented, you can get a driver's license. But nobody in California votes if they are a non-citizen. That just doesn't happen.
That's progressive.
California is very progressive, even though it's it's mostly a conservative state. It's not mostly a conservative, but it has its huge conservative pockets. Not as much as they used to have. Now it's just Trumpers and Democrats. But yeah, I think it would be a great thing for you to become a citizen. You've worked here your
Mm.
whole life. You went to school here. I think you would be discounting your American heritage that
You
you've
would
adopted.
what?
I said you've kind of adopted an American heritage. Don't you think? Don't you think you're a very American girl?
I don't. Um. I would say a lot of my core beliefs are still very culturally rooted in Jamaica because I didn't leave until I was 11. So a lot of the majority of my formative years was there. Like I started cooking at age 9, full course meals. I would make curry chicken, rice and peas, cabbage before my mother got home from work, me and my sister.
Mm.
We'd have the house tidy and clean. Um, just certain things that I still I can recall from my childhood and my culture. Like Jamaicans are notorious for having multiple jobs. I
Mm-hmm.
did. I always had 2 jobs, 2 to 3 at the same
I
time.
believe you.
So I think, just yeah, I don't think I've adopted the American culture.
Oh,
I haven't.
but I see a lot of American in you. I see your your drive, your ambition, your intellect, which you clearly got because most of your life was spent here.
That's well, that's probably true. That's possibly true, but I don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean
Even
it's
if
a
I've
big decision.
adopted the American way in some ways, I
Hmm.
want to still preserve who I feel that I am, Jamaican.
I got you. I got you.
Hmm.
Like I said, it would be very hard for me to denounce my American citizenship. I would I don't know what I would do. I I feel bad for Eliana and Jaomi because and Zen, well, Zen probably will live in, Hawaii for the rest of his life and it probably won't matter. But um, they weren't born in America. And there are
No, they
benefits
won't.
I mean, they can never be president. And I don't know. I don't know if they get a certain what their immigration status is from. But no, one was born in Panama, and one was born in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what their individual paternal citizenship rights are like because they have
Well, they
American
could
parents.
apply for citizenship, but like you said, they wouldn't be able to become president.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. And then records. If you wanted to get your baby's birth records, I wonder if they can get them there. Because I don't think they didn't
Yeah.
have health insurance, so it wasn't like they were in some big fancy hospital. They were in some clinics, right?
Well, I think both of them went to the hospital.
Yeah, but they weren't
Both of
big
them went to
fancy
the hospital,
hospitals.
actually.
What happened to my
Every last
comment
one of them
about
went to the
Abrams? Oh,
hospital.
wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see. Crystal with the C asked a question. What happened to my comment about Abrams? As an Atlanta, I noticed the difference in applause when she mentioned Warnock, Dickens versus Abrams. Oh, I missed that part. Crystal with the C. Damn it. I don't have to go back and look at it. That's
I
a
missed that part too.
that's when we were having the technical difficulties. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be really hard for me to renounce my citizenship. I would be renouncing my myself, who I am. I think
Right.
my identity is very much contingent on me being an American. That's a big part of my identity. So
Well,
I
I'm getting
understand what
my Jamaican passport just in case I need to move to Japan.
you're what are you going to do in Japan?
Be a content creator, just exactly what I do here.
I heard that, but why Japan?
It's cheap to live there. I've been watching a
You've been watching the
African American
yen.
girl who lives there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I mean, yeah, I would like to visit. I just wouldn't want to live in any other country. Well, maybe Jamaica. That's funny. I would like to retire there. I'm going to retire there. I'm not going to say I would like to. That's what I'm going to do.
In Jamaica?
Yes, in Oche.
Okay.
I want I want
Ocho.
I want to live by the ocean where I have because I've lived by the ocean my whole life. And I love the food. That's another yeah, Japan has good food. You're right, Crystal with the C. But I love Jamaican food, and I could see myself eating Jamaican food 3 meals a day because that's really important. And I just love it. So that's where I'm going. Not that I'll ever retire fully. But if you could live anywhere, where would you want to live?
Mm, if I could live anywhere, where would I want to live? Anywhere in the world. Egypt.
Okay. It's hot as hell. That's in Africa.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I know.
hot. Oh my
I
gosh.
wouldn't mind.
I'll
They
totally
have
visit you
beautiful,
in the
beautiful
winter.
sights to ride the camels.
Ride the camels to Whole Food.
Hmm. They have McDonald's over there.
Yes.
They have just about every single store we have
Walmart.
here.
everything. Yeah, it's a metro.
Yeah.
Cairo is a major metropolitan city.
I know. My daughter did her first deployment there.
Oh wow! How long was she there?
My daughter enlisted in the United States Army at the age of 17. I had to sign the paperwork.
Mm.
I had to sign that paperwork, and I
You sure
cried the
did.
entire time. But she was determined because what she said to me after I paid the deposit for her to go to, what was it, HBCU, Bennett College, all girls school in
Oh,
North Carolina here, one of the first black all girls schools.
okay.
Paid her commitment fee. And, I was talking to her about debt, loans, credit, and all of those conversations because I wanted her to know that we can do this. It's no big deal. We're going to get
Hmm.
this done. But I want you to know what lies ahead in the future because at that time, I was working with a lot of doctors and, I was talking to them about her going to school. And, doctors have extreme loan amounts. Like I
Oh
know a
yes,
doctor 71 years
yes.
old, he's still paying his college loans.
Another thing Democrats did: college loan forgiveness. Forgave mine. Hallelujah, praise the Lord.
And then one of my doctors was like, well, have her go to community college the first, because my oldest wanted to be a doctor initially.
Okay.
So we were going to do 2 years community and then go the other two at a, state or something like, a different school. We settled in on Bennett because that was the tour that she enjoyed the most. She really liked the speaker. She was excited about it, ready to go. We did her FAFSA. She won a lottery, what was it, grant for school because both my children are Native American.
Hmm.
So she wanted the grant, and in total for her first year, we would be responsible for about 10,000.
Okay.
And
Mm.
then her loan, the loan differences and things, if we took out the
Right.
loan for the 10,000 or if we paid it on our own. So we looked at those options as well. And my daughter
Right.
turned to me and she was like, you know what, Mom? I said, what? She said, I don't want to be in debt.
Hmm.
And at the time, one of my good friends to this day, she was a sergeant in the Army.
Okay.
And my oldest was like, well, I want to talk to her about going into the military.
Hmm.
So we set up the conversation. They had it. And she said, I'm going to enlist in the military because I don't want that. I was like,
Makes
what?
sense.
She was like, I don't want that. I said, I just paid your confirmation fee, non-refundable. And
Oh.
I mean, it was okay. I was like, that's fine. And I signed the paperwork. And once she finished basic and AIT, she was deployed immediately to
Mm.
Egypt. That was the hardest
Lord,
year of my life.
it had to be.
Yeah.
It had to be. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
And they're on a different time zone.
Oh yeah, because she was deployed to Egypt.
Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Her
mm.
night was my day.
That had to be very disorienting. Disorienting.
It was rough.
I can't even imagine.
It was the happiest moment. Now I saw them when they were coming back
Uh-huh.
and coming back into the United States, from Egypt, finished their assignment. When I saw her at that airport, because they let the families go to the airport.
Were you screaming?
Oh, I wasn't screaming. I ran right up to my baby and hugged her. Mhm.
Oh. Yeah, it's hard letting go. It's hard letting go.
Now, I was extremely proud to be a Jamaican immigrant
Mm-hmm.
um, who raised someone with, you know, she's a citizen, but
Right.
raised a United States citizen to be a productive person, a human being in society, as well as someone who was selfless enough to go on a peacekeeping mission. When she went, there was that huge unrest in Cairo when they burnt
That's
the
what I was going to
flag.
ask you. That's when she was there.
Yeah.
The Arab Spring.
Yes.
Yeah. Wowzer. Interesting.
But
But
I'll
yeah,
be to be
I can
totally
see you be
honest.
very proud.
Yeah, but to be totally honest, she decided to go ahead and just end her service after that
Hmm.
first tour because Donald Trump became the president.
Wow. And she didn't want to be
And she didn't
under
want to
him.
serve under that commander in chief.
Whoa. How does she? How is she politically? Is she engaged?
She's very engaged, but my oldest daughter should have been born in California
Why?
because she is just so hilarious. She's like the other day, my nieces, we send each other deals in the fam chat. We have a family chat. So my niece sends something about school supplies, and my oldest goes, "Well, after this year, they're not going to need school supplies because Trump is going to close the schools."
It's the truth.
I'm like, girl,
It's the truth. It's the truth. And what his
she just has a
rationale
really,
is,
huh?
he really thinks that the money you save in taxes, and remember, schools are funded by homeowners' taxes. If you're not a homeowner, if you weren't a homeowner while your kids were going through 12 through K, that means homeowners were subsidizing your your child's education. So she's not, you know, it's a lot to think about with Project 2025. Not just I mean, that's a huge, like I said, undertaking, destroying the Department of Education. So your daughter, she was right. They will not need school supplies because the schools will not exist.
Yeah.
Because the power of the president is very strong, and if he has a House and a Senate, he can implement all of 2025 and more.
Wow.
And I don't talk about it
And
too much because
there's
I don't
some
want
really
people to think I'm trying to
seriously,
scare them. Say what?
um, there's some serious concerning items on his agenda as far as Social Security and the elderly.
Yes. Yes, he wants to slash. The Republicans have been saying for years they want to shrink government down as small. What is it? Uh, enough to drown it, and in a baby tub or some. It's just some crazy saying. I can't remember what it was. It's something, but they want to destroy the the uh the public sector. They think that everything should be privatized. Our healthcare, our education, our transportation. They do not believe in public transportation. They don't believe in the post
wow.
office. They think it should be subbed out to FedEx and all of the companies like and DHL. That's who they want to run this country. Corporations, not the government. But see, the government is um has to answer to we the people. That's how it works. The government has to answer to us. Do you want the country run by corporations? Do you think that they would do fairly if the government didn't force them to? I mean, think about it. No, they
No.
wouldn't. They need guardrails. That's why we need unions. Because the government doesn't tell people what to do with their company. They just say you have to treat people fairly and safely. There's a documentary. It's infuriating because it only gives credit to white men. But there is a show on the History Channel called The Men Who Built America. And in it, it tells of the horrors of wealthy people running this country. And what did it lead to? The stock market crash, which spurred on the Great Depression. That's how we do when rich people run the country. But yeah, it's a very interesting series. Like I said, it doesn't give enough deference to non-Caucasian builders of this country. So it's that, but it does tell the stories of the Vanderbilts, of the Carnegies, of the Rockefellers, and it tells how this country was built on pure greed. And I highly recommend it. So you don't have to read a whole history book. It's nice.
Where
The
is it
History
at?
Channel. And it's called The Men Who Built America. And it's a TV series, and the men who built America, the foods that built America, the companies that built America, and it does little biographies of each industry. It's fantastic. I just hope as the seasons progress that they start including more people of color and women. Because if you watch that, you would think that only white people had anything to do with the founding of America. But since we all know that's not true, if you like the series, do as I do and write them and tell them that they need to include more people of color who had a hand in building this country and women. I always write networks or producers. And sometimes, well, for the most part, I get a response. It may not necessarily be the response I think I wanted, but, they respond nonetheless.
Well, this was an amazing live.
Yes, I always have fun with you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm like, okay, this was really, really amazing. And I mean, I'm hopeful for Kamala and the Democratic Party. And I hope that, Donald Trump can answer direct questions going forward, because today that was weird.
What in his history tells you that he's ever going to answer a straight up question? He was president for 4 years.
He's running for.
Did he ever answer a straight up question? Was he ever competent?
But he is running for the highest office.
Been there, done that
in this land.
He won the first time without answering any questions.
What made him? What happened? Why did he win?
Oh, that's another show. That's a whole nother show. I don't have enough power in my computer to go down. There were, it was America's punishment.
Well, we'll come back. The next
Yes.
episode we will be how did he win?
That would be interesting.
Because I want to know.
Well, it's a tangle web we weave, but we'll weave it. I think that's an interesting show to do. I'm gonna work on it.
Yeah.
Okay, check this out. I
Okay.
got some carbonation news to tell you, but I'm not gonna tell you until you go live on your other channel.
Okay.
So I'll tell you before then. Actually, I can't hold it. You have to call me as soon as you get off. I can't hold it. I have to tell you. Okay.
I will.
Okay, good. All right. I
All
love
right.
you.
I love you too. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. This was great. All right, y'all. So I want to say thank you to everybody that has joined in the conversation. I wasn't really paying attention to the comments too much. Hey, Vlog Lurker. Hey, Something Foreign. Hey, Crystal Mods. Thank you so much for being here and keeping the room clear. Let's see. I thought I saw BB London. I knew I saw you, BB. Thank you for coming on over. Let me see. Who else is in here? Empress. Hey, Empress. Thank you so much for being here and jumping into the conversations. And by the way, Bush Babies, thank you guys for coming in as well. Guys, please do me a favor and smash the heck out of that like button on your way out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Lisa Says What? Shouts out to Lisa Says What's channel. If you guys are not already subscribed to Lisa Says What, definitely check her out here on YouTube. Great content, great conversations. Guys, until next time.